Welcome to the Bot Signal, your home for news and views about messenger chatbots. Today, let's talk about measuring engagement in your chatbot. Now, why is this a concern? We all know why. Because if you can't measure something, you can't manage it. You can't make something grow if you don't know what makes it grow. It's like seeds on a parking lot. You can scatter those bad boys all day, but they're not in the right soil. So, why do you bother measuring engagement in your bot? It's because you want to take those tools that they give you and make subscribership to your bot grow. Now, ManyChat gives you plenty of stats to measure your engagement in your bot. But first, let's just take the 30,000 foot view and think about what engagement really means. We've all been sort of taught that engagement is clicks, engagement is views, engagement is a number. Well, bots are just a little bit different because there are many different ways to count your engagement because it's a back and forth conversation. It's not a simple yes, no, did this person click or not? Did they go to another page or not? This is not that. This is you're able to really track somebody's investment and involvement. And so when I talk about engagement, I'm really talking about, can I measure how invested this person is in the process right now? That's what engagement really is about. We've done our best with all the stats and all the analytics in the world trying to measure things. That's fine. But here's how I measure things in my bot. How many conversations have I had this week? Conversations first. How much outreach am I doing inside the bot to engage people in a conversation? And how many of those conversations have I had in a week? Those are the questions that I ask myself. Those are the questions that when I get those answers, those directly affect my bottom line. It's a proportion. With the engagement and all the stats and all the clicks and all that kind of stuff, it's so hard sometimes to translate into, okay, that feels great that I got that many views, but how does that translate into actually, productive work in my business? In a bot, it's a lot easier to tell, but looking at the numbers first isn't going to get you there. Think about conversations first. How many have you had this week? And how much outreach are you doing? When you're done looking at how many conversations you've had this week, then it's time to look at the stats. ManyChat provides you many stats. Maybe it should be called ManyStat. I'll approach them and let you know. Anyway, stats to look at. There is, everybody talks about the open rate and the click-through rate. And those are really strong stats, right? Open rates 90%, click-through rates 40%. We haven't seen that kind of stats on email in 20 years. And so those are great stats, but they also offer you a lot along the way, such as when you are creating a sequence of messages. Sometimes they send them out daily, sometimes every couple of days. Your mileage may vary. But when you're looking at a sequence, I always look at the drop-off rate, as opposed how many people started this particular sequence as opposed to how many finish it. 20 to 30% drop-off rate gradually throughout the sequence, pretty normal. But if you are running into a situation where you're getting like 50% drop-off, 60% drop-off, you might want to take a look at that sequence. Or if you are getting huge drop off like on the third day and nobody ever picks it up on the fourth, if you're getting a drop off that looks like a ski jump from the Olympics, anywhere in that sequence, you do want to take a look at that and maybe adjust it a little bit. Here's a couple of things to do to adjust. If you're either noticing, a great big drop off in the middle, or if you're noticing that a lot of people, over 30% are not finishing, who has started the bot. Here's a couple of things to do. One, change the length of that sequence. Don't be afraid to change the length of a sequence. Don't be afraid to adjust the timing of a sequence. If you've got a 7-day bot and you feel like more people are dropping off than you want, you can always take that and move it back into a 5-day bot or move it into a 3-day bot. What I always do when I'm messing around with sequences is that I will make a small change and then I will start recording stats again on it. I'll wait about a week to see what's going on. Some cases I wait 2 weeks. You want to make a small change and then see what happens to that change. You do not want to get in there, tinker, make a billion changes, because here's the deal. If you see a huge return on that, you have no idea what actually made that happen. If I've made 5 changes and all of a sudden things are going well, I have no idea which change it was that made the difference. So one change at a time, people. I promise it's a little slow, but it will get you to your goals faster. Another way to strengthen engagement and investment in your bot is this. If no one is making it through that call to action, if people are getting there but then not actually taking action on your call to action, maybe it's time to take a look at that. Now, people, when we build stuff, we have an emotional attachment to it. Hey, if I made this thing, I'm automatically going to consider it more valuable than anyone else is probably going to do. So, what I suggest is if you're thinking about changing your call to action, recruit, get a couple of people, buy them a cup of coffee, and get a couple of objective people and just ask them some questions about that call to action. Make sure that these people are in your target market. Make sure you're getting people who will be honest with you, and really just interview them. Talk to them about your call to action and see if it's really see if it's a valuable solution for your people right then. My calls to action, every single one in my bot leads to a phone call with me. It's a very flexible call to action. We can talk about anything, and it seems to fit people well, but I didn't start out with that particular call to action. Other people put way, way different things in the call to action at the end of a sequence. It just really depends on your audience and it depends on what they like. So that's what I suggest. If your call to action is not getting any action, there's something you can do about it. Finally, ManyChat offers an opportunity to do A/B testing with your bot, with your sequences. This is an incredibly easy feature to use and is really convenient for people who kind of want to test another method out. So let me explain how this works. With A/B testing, what you do is you send 50% of people along this particular sequence and 50% along a very similar sequence, and then measure the results of both. So if you were in a situation where you have a 7-day bot and you get a drop off rate that you don't like, you can also just take that 7-day, make a copy, turn it into a 5-day sequence, and then send 50% of your audience down the 7-day sequence, 50% of your audience down the 5-day sequence. See which one does better and use that one. Thanks for listening today. You can find full episodes of The Bot Signal on your favorite podcast player. And if you have the Anchor app, stop in, ask me a question, leave me a voice message, and I'll include it on my next show. If you're completely new to bots and you don't know what's going on there, visit me at checkoutmybot.com. Start a conversation with me, take my free mini course. It's all available. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in a bot.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.